Taking a quick break here at Navy Pier. It's miserably cold today, in the 30s. Slight rain, maybe drizzle. Left work a little bit early today. Today's parent-teacher conference day.
So got through the run commute today. It was 7 miles, 8:17 per mile. Pretty rough conditions out there. I was originally hoping for an easy day, but the weather had other plans for me. I had a pretty steady headwind that was just brutally cold. It's April 17th, but it was only like 30 degrees out there, and we had like a wet mist, and it was just pelting my face, and I just didn't have enough layers on. I didn't have anything like my normal kind of like neck thingy that I could use to cover my face to keep it a little bit warmer. I didn't have that, so my face was just frozen and windblown, and that's how I felt going into my parent-teacher conference today. And I kind of scheduled it so that way after the run I would have like 20 or 30 minutes. There's a coffee shop nearby that I kind of collect myself and not be all sweaty and gross. That didn't happen. The day kind of got away from me work-wise, so I had to essentially run straight from my desk to the parent-teacher conference. So I was trying to like focus on what she was saying, tell me about my kid in terms of her reading progress and all this other stuff. But I was kind of like still frozen in the face, sweaty in the hair, and kind of like damp everywhere else. I mean, it got to the point where, fortunately, it's a kindergarten class and there's like hand wipes everywhere. I had to ask if the teacher if she could give me one so I could wipe down my seat before the next parent had to come and sit down. Fortunately, it was a plastic seat, and it wasn't like a cloth or a leather seat, because that would have been a lot worse. I probably would have asked if I could just stand up if that was the case. But that was kind of the run commute situation for today, and that's because my wife's out of town for work this week, and whenever she travels I have the girls by myself. So I have to, I can't do my normal morning run, and because then the girls will be home by themselves for like an hour. And they're too young for that still. But instead, I will run commute home and pick them up from daycare and their after-school care. And that was kind of the original intention for run commuting for me. Was like I was thinking about like summer marathon training season. I would run in the mornings, get my normal morning workouts in, and then use run commuting to get some extra miles in, 10 to 15 extra miles in, maybe even 20 during the week, depending on schedule. That's what I originally thought. But the kind of the reality of it is after the run commute, I'm really sweaty. And so some people might run commute from like work to home, but I have to pick up the girls after usually on most days. So if I'm run commuting, I have to run commute to daycare pickup. And I've done that a couple times in the summertime when it's hot, and I just get to daycare and I'm dripping with sweat. Now I'm a sweater, I sweat like crazy. And so like I have been to daycare at points where I'm like looking down and there's like a trail of my sweat that has dripped behind me. So I don't really do the run commute in the summertime when it's super hot. I've been kind of run commuting more in the colder weather months, fall, winter, and then in theory we'll be having spring sometime soon here in Chicago. But that's kind of where I've been doing the run commuting because with colder temperatures I'm not sweaty. I'm hot and I'm like kind of damp, and a little bit gross when I get there, but I'm not dripping sweat. And I was kind of thinking about kind of the fact that I normally I like run straight to daycare to pick up my daughter, to pick up the baby. And I have 2 daughters. The older one I called my daughter, the younger one's a baby. So I go to daycare to pick up the baby, and every day when I pick her up, if I'm run commuting, I'm kind of stinky. I'm not terribly smelly because I haven't sweat that much in a winter run, and I just don't have that much body odor from that. I don't smell great, but it's not like I'm just profusely like BO everywhere. But there's definitely, I think there's probably like a smell to it. Not in necessarily that bad of a way, but just like an aroma. I don't want to say like aroma either because I'm not food, but just a general kind of like smell profile. And it makes me wonder, like, she's 1.5 at an age where she probably won't have a ton of memories, even like 2 years, 3 years from now, when I can ask her if she remembers something. I don't know that she'll remember now. I don't know, like, when is the point when like a mind turns on? Like I think back to my earliest memories. I think I was like 4 or 5. I have a couple of like very traumatic like daycare memories. That's subject for another day. But that was maybe like 2 or 3. And so I don't know if she's quite there yet. But one of the things that I do have in terms of memory is I have very strong smell memories. And I don't know if it's because my eyesight's just so bad, and maybe I didn't have the correct eyewear growing up when I was very young, because I didn't start wearing glasses until like the 5th grade. But I have very strong like smell memories, and like a lot of my distant relatives, I guess they're not that distant, but they're literally distant, like my relatives from Korea, who I've only met like a handful of times. I definitely remember smells. Like all my uncles, one of them always smells like cigarettes, one of them always smells like, I didn't know what the smell was at the time. I now know that it's brown liquor and beer. So that was like his smell. And so like, I definitely have strong smell memories, and I wonder if the baby will have like a strong like smell memory, because usually I pick her up and carry her, especially on a lot of the colder days, because she doesn't walk very fast. And so when it's really cold, I just pick her up and we hustle to get onto the bus to hurry up and go get her sister. So just some thoughts on my run commute. A little bit more of a ramble than normal today, but it was intentional, somewhat intentional. So I normally shoot in the living room, but right now, again, with my wife being out of town, or whenever my wife's out of town, the girls, we have this little like pop-up tent that we like to put in the living room and sleep in there. So they're sleeping in there right now, and I have my normal window set up in the bedroom. And a couple of days ago, it's suction cups set onto glass by the window in our apartment, and it fell over. And even today, this thing has tipped over a couple times. It happens when it's really cold outside and the glass is cold and suction cups don't work as well when it's cold. And so the camera fell off and it bumped, and I think the microphone broke, and that's why I've been having some mic issues lately. And so I've got this, a little voice recorder. I borrowed that from work. I don't think I'm going to replace with another shotgun mic. I don't really use them that much. I don't think I need them for the kind of videos that I shoot for the channel. But I did playing around with this. One of my buddies, you might see him in a video coming up in the next week. He has one of these. He's one of those like found sounds and like audiophile kind of guys. So he's had one of these, an older version of that, but he's had one of those for a long time, and I've always kind of been interested in it. And I'm also kind of interested in the idea of podcasting, probably because I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and he just kind of has a real great skill at brainwashing people and making them think that they need things, which is great because he's in marketing and sales. So great for him. But I've been thinking about that. I just don't know what my podcast would be about. But I'm trying to like think about some storytelling and just general voice content. I don't know if it'll be for this or for this channel or for work or some other purpose, but just playing around with some stuff today, so thought I'd tell you guys a little bit of a story about run commuting and just some other thoughts that were kind of going through my head, both during my run commute and a little bit afterwards. So sorry for the ramble, but that's just what the run commute has kind of been like lately. I really love run commuting. It's probably one of my favorite ways to run, but there are some, side effects.
Yo, what's going on?